Hello, today I'm gonna tell you about the Donald Douglas, who was one of the creators of the McDonnell Douglas and his own Douglas company, which was focused on creating aircraft for US, for the United States, uh, Office of War, and during the World War II, but also was focused on creating commercial airliners. McDonald, Donald Douglas was born on April 6 in 1892. He went to U.S. Naval Academy and didn't finish it as he was raised up during the Wright brothers' time, where when they launched their Wright Flyer, and he was dreaming about creating his own aircraft. Later, he finished MIT in 2 years and worked at the university as an assistant aeronautical engineer. However, he did not feel uh, being a teacher, so he decided to uh, start working in the field, and he went to Connecticut Aircraft Company, which was his first industry job. Well, after that, he was working with Mr. Glenn Martin at the Martin Company as the chief engineer and as aeronautical engineer right during the World War One with Martin. Uh, they created Glenn Martin bomber. However, this aircraft was very modern but unnecessary and unwanted because it was delivered right before the end of the war. The first office that Douglas opened was right after he left uh, Martin Company, and he was trying to find people interested in aviation after the Great War in Los Angeles. He was not very successful though, because everybody was focused on cinematography, not flying machines. However, he found help in David Davis, who was the first customer of Douglas Company that he created in barbershop in Los Angeles. And later they created Davis Douglas Company. The first wholly designed aircraft by Douglas was the Cloudster. The millionaire Davis was putting a lot of money on this aircraft, and uh, it failed and disappointed David Davis during the attempts to cross the United States from one coast to another, as Douglas and the other pilot crashed in the mountains, and a different aircraft type could do that later in 1921. After that, David Davis left the project and basically sold the aircraft. Later, Douglas was working by himself and was trying to bring the people who he was working with at the Martin Company all together to focus on creating something new for the Navy and for the United States Army. But probably he reached his prime in 1930s when he was focused on commercial airliners. The first one was DC-1, was a project developed as an order from Trans World Airlines, and Mr. Douglas was agreeing to challenge American Airlines with their Boeing 247s. The aircraft was very modern for its time. It had 710 horsepower engines, three-bladed propellers, changeable pitch mechanism, and was able to lift a payload of over 6,000 pounds. It could also hit the 230 miles per hour speed limit, which was relatively high speed limit for this time. DC-2 was a very luxury aircraft, very modern. It had all the problems with the overweight solved, and it was flying for many airlines like KLM, American Airlines, Eastern Airlines, CLS, and Western Airlines, and many others. The DC-3 was mostly famous for its participation in the World War II. It was used as for paratroopers in Normandy during D-Day, and there were about 1,000 DC-3s in this Overlord operation. They were used to carry paratroopers, small cannons, and jeeps. Douglas was not just focused on aviation, he was a very family guy and also loved his dogs. He was responsible for the development and creation of the Nike anti-aircraft missile system. He designed S-4B upper stage for the Saturn lunar launch vehicle, which became the Skylab, and this was the first manned orbital base station. He got a lot of rewards for his achievements and a lot of medals, not just from the US, but for example, Europe, uh, especially after the World War II, when he was elected uh, to the National Academy of Engineering in 1967 as the leading position. This was my small talk about the Donald Douglas and his achievements. This is my reference page. Feel free to visit the websites and read the books I mentioned. Thank you and have a good day.